हेलो फ्रेंड्स एंड वेलकम बैक टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल। इसके पहले हम एक वीडियो ऑलरेडी अपलोड कर चुके हैं विच वाज द चैप्टर 1 रिप्रोडक्शन इन ऑर्गेनिजम्स। आई होप आपको वो वीडियो पसंद आया हो और ज़रूर उसमें कमेंट कीजिएगा, लाइक कीजिएगा और सब्सक्राइब कीजिएगा। सो टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट द सेकेंड चैप्टर विच इज सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन इन फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स। ओके, द फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स they belong to a category of plants, the specific category which is known as the angiosperms. स्टूडेंट्स, आपने अपने पिछले क्लासेस में 11th में ये पढ़ा होगा। angiosperms is a group of flowering plants. Okay, so these are the highly evolved categories of plants in the plant kingdom. Okay, and these are highly evolved, that's why they are very very complex in nature, and these are the only flowers these are the only plants which produce the specialized structures named as the flowers. You can see here the longitudinal section of a flower is shown here. Okay students, हम लोग अपने चारों तरफ देखने से बहुत तरीके के रंग बिरंगे फूल और पत्ते सब देख पाते हैं। फूलों को देख के हम बहुत सारी चीजें उसको इस्तेमाल भी कर सकते हैं। ओके, फ्लावर्स आर नॉट ओनली मींट फॉर आवर प्लेजर, फॉर आवर सेल्फिशनेस, but they are doing the important function in the biological world, which is the sexual reproduction in plants, which is only possible due to the structures named as the flowers. Okay, human beings have been using the flowers in different very ways since ages. Okay, like we can use them for aesthetic purpose, we can use them as ornamentals, we can also use them in social and religious purposes. Okay, and we can also use the flowers to express various many human emotions like affection, happiness, grief, or even at mourning. Okay, so we use the flowers in various different purposes, and if we look at the diversity of the flowering plants, we can see various many structures. The inflorescence, which is known as the inflorescence stands for the arrangement of flowers on the floral axis. Okay, how does it develop? First of all, what happens, there are lots of structural and hormonal changes within the plants. जैसे हम लोग ह्यूमन बींग्स हो या कोई भी एनिमल्स हो, प्यूबर्टी पहुंचते ही कैसे हार्मोनल चेंजेस हो के हम में वो चेंजेस आते हैं जिसके तहत हम लोग रिप्रोडक्शन के लिए तैयार हो पाते हैं। Similarly, in the flowering plants also, there are many hormonal changes which gives the structural changes to the parts of the flowering plants, and due to which the flowers develop. First of all, a primordia, which is known as a leaf primordia or flower primordia develops. Okay, upon which the flowering parts will develop. Okay, so सबसे पहले हम लोग flowers के कुछ parts को describe करेंगे. Okay, you all know about the parts of the flower, and as you can see in this diagram, this is the longitudinal section of a flower. First of all, the flower, अगर हम लोग ascending order में जाएंगे, it is having 4 different holes within it. The 4 holes, namely the calyx, corolla, then the androecium, and lastly the gynoecium. Okay, these are the 4 main holes of the flowers. We can see them in the diagram also. Here the first part, the outer coming part of the bird, जो बाहर की तरफ निकला हुआ है, those are the sepals. They form the calyx. Okay, the second part is the colorful one, the petals. They are known as the corolla. Okay, the third hole is the male reproductive part of the flower, which forms the androecium, which are also known as the stamens. And the last hole, the innermost hole, is the female reproductive part known as the gynoecium. Okay, the male reproductive part in the flower and the female reproductive part in the flower, they both form the main essential functions or the main essential holes of the flower, which will be utilized directly in the sexual reproduction. The other 2 holes, the calyx and the corolla, they are the non-essential holes which are not directly involved in the sexual reproduction process. Okay, so basically these are the 4 holes of the flower: calyx, corolla, androecium, and the gynoecium. So before we move on to the detailed structures of the flower and the different parts of androecium and gynoecium, we will first note down the events in sexual reproduction. As we have also taught you in the chapter 1 also, आप लोग previous video में भी देख पाएंगे what are the different sexual events in sexual reproduction. Let us note them once again. Those will be the pre-fertilization events, the second is fertilization, the process itself, and the third one will be the post-fertilization events. Okay, these are the three events that occur in the flowering plants or with the flower. It's a very fascinating organ. It is the only organ which is having the capacity to do sexual reproduction. Okay, let's just go through a brief about the different parts. Okay, the sepals, they are meant for protection before the flower opens up. In the bud form, it is meant for the protection of the flower. The petals, they are colorful in nature and they attract the pollinators for pollinating the flower, which will be helpful in sexual reproduction. Another thing is present just besides the ovary region, okay, and within the ovary region also there are different kinds of nectariferous area. Nectariferous area is having certain kind of tissue or aggregate of cell which produces nectar. They are secretory in nature. The cells, they are secretory in nature and they produce the nectar of the flower. Okay, that also attracts the insects and bees and other pollinating agents for pollination. Okay, the flower also reward them as nectar for pollinating the flower itself. Okay, next, the male reproductive structure, it includes two things, the anther and the filament. Okay, the filament is a stalk-like structure upon which the anther is sitting, and the female reproductive part, the center part, the innermost hole, it contains of three different regions. The uppermost region is known as the stigma, and the pipe, longitudinal pipe, is the style, and the third part is the ovary. Okay, so these are the three different parts. Now we will move to the pre-fertilization structures and events which are there in the flower. How the filament and anther, they produce the pollen grains, which are the male reproductive structures or male reproductive gamete carrying structures, and how the ovary from the female reproductive part, it produces the ovum or the ovules within them, how they produce the egg cell within them. Okay, so we will learn about them in detail. Okay. Okay, so first of all, we will, as I already told you, there are several hormonal changes that occur due to which the reproductive parts like the androecium and the gynoecium develop properly. Okay, they differentiate from the different holes and they develop properly. All the structures, they develop properly, within which the male gametes and the female gametes will be produced for the further process of fertilization. Okay, so among them we will first learn about the male parts, the stamen, which contains the microsporangium. Microsporangium is that structure within which the pollen grains are produced. Okay, so this is the first structure we are going to learn about. Okay, the stamen, as already mentioned, it consists of two parts, the filament and the anther. Okay, the filament is the stalk-like structure which originates from the base of the flower, from near the ovary, and it holds the male reproductive part, which is the anther, within which the pollen grains are produced. And pollen grains are the carrier of the male sperms or the male nucleus or male gametes. Okay, here we will first learn about the anther in detail, the structure of anther in detail. For that, let me make a simple diagram of a cross section of anther. Okay, usually the anther is divided into two different lobes. If we see the longitudinal section from here, the filament will be there, and the filament itself will divide the anther into two different lobes. That is why the anther is said to be bilobed. Okay, it is bilobed, and the bilobed structure of anther is having two theca layers within it. That is why it is also known as dithecous anther. Okay, the anther is said to be bilobed and dithecous. Okay, in each lobe you can see, if I hide this part becomes the first lobe. If I hide this part becomes the second lobe. Okay, in each lobe there are two different structures named as the microsporangium each. Okay, जो अंदर में जो गोल स्ट्रक्चर है, you can see them, those are known as the microsporangium. And microsporangium are cylindrical structures. You are just seeing a longitudinal section here. You can imagine it as a cylinder. Okay, so the cylindrical structures, there are 4 different cylindrical structures, 2 in each lobe. Okay, so those are forming the microsporangium, within which the pollen grains will be developing. Okay, and in the center of each anther there are specialized cells which forms homogeneous cells which are forming a tissue known as the sporogenous tissue. Okay, sporogenous tissue. Sorry to mention, it is here within the center of each microsporangia. Okay, within the center of each microsporangia there are a structure called homogeneous tissues which forms the pollen grains. The tissues of the cells of the sporogenous tissues, they develop further to become the pollen grains. Okay, and here what I was saying is the connective tissue which holds both the lobes of the anther intact in their correct position. Okay, so you can see, once again I will repeat, the anther is a bilobed structure because of the presence of 2 different lobes, and it is dithecous because of presence of 2 theca layers. Okay, and the anther is 4-sided, as you can see. That's why it may be also called as a tetragonal structure. उसको tetragonal भी बोल सकते हैं. Okay, tetragonal, tetra means 4. So there are 4 different microsporangia located within the anther. Okay, each microsporangia will further develop when the anther will mature up. Then the microsporangia will further develop into pollen sacs. Later on they will be called as the pollen sacs, or simple cylindrical bag-like structure which will give rise to the pollen grains. Okay, now let us go in detail about the structure of the microsporangia. The microsporangia is also having different kinds of layers of cells or layers of tissues surrounding the sporogenous tissue which is inside it. Okay, so the sporogenous tissue is surrounded by 4 different layers. Okay, the 4 different layers from the outer sides are named as, first, the epidermis. The second one is endothecium layer. Then there are the middle layers, and the last and the innermost is the tapetum layer. Okay, these are the 4 layers of the microsporangia. You can refer to the figure 2.3 in the NCERT textbook also. Okay, the epidermis, it is the outermost layer. It is usually single layered. The second layer, the endothecium, it is 2 to 3 layered. Then the third, middle layers, it is also 2 to 3 layered, and all the 3 layers, they together perform the function of protection. Okay, when the anther is developing and maturing, these 3 layers of the microsporangia, they are made for protection. Okay, the last layer, the tapetum layer, it usually nourishes the developing pollen grains. Okay, जो sporogenous tissue है वो young से जब mature anther बन रहा है, at that time the tapetum layer, the cells of the tapetum layer will help in the nourishment of the developing pollen grains within the pollen sacs. Okay, so the protection function is done by epidermis, endothecium and middle layer. Together with that, during the dehiscence of anther, dehiscence is a process in which what happens, this groove, the longitudinal groove, okay, this groove will break down and the pollen grains which will be within there, they will release out of it. That's known as dehiscence of anther. During that period also, they will help in the release of pollen grain, these three layers, because without breaking the layers, the pollen grains will not come out. So that is the function. And the last layer, the tapetum layer, it nourishes the developing pollen grains. This tapetal layer cells, they possess dense cytoplasm. Okay, dense cytoplasm is there within the cells of the tapetum because they need to nourish the developing pollen grains. And if there is no dense cytoplasm, another thing they can do, they fuse together to become binucleate cells. Usually a question arises, why the tapetal cells are usually binucleate? Actually what happens, the cells of the tapetum layer, they fuse together to increase their cytoplasmic mass, to become the cytoplasm more denser, and that's why they become binucleate. Okay, sometimes they also may become multinucleate. That's why they can easily nourish the developing pollen grains, so that their cytoplasm will be more denser and they can easily nourish them. Okay, that's why they fuse together to become binucleate in nature. Okay, so these are the different layers of the microsporangium. Now we will learn about the process of formation of pollen grains, which is known as microsporogenesis. Okay. Microsporogenesis. Simply, microsporogenesis means development of microspores or pollen grains from the microsporangium. Okay, the microsporangium, as I mentioned, these are the four structures which are present within the different lobes of anther. In each lobe there are two microsporangium. Okay, so as the anther develops, what happens, the cells of the sporogenous tissue, which are just present in the center part of the microsporangia, okay, the cells of the sporogenous tissue, they will undergo meiotic divisions. You might be knowing always, whenever the gametes are produced, they are always produced by meiosis. Here also the cells of the sporogenous tissue will undergo meiotic divisions to form simple structures named as microspore tetrads. Okay, microspore tetrads. Why again these are known as tetrads? Because you might be knowing, at the end of meiosis, from a single cell 4 different cells are produced, and all these are haploid cells, right? 4 haploid cells will be produced at the end of meiosis, which is going through the sporogenous tissue, the cells of the sporogenous tissue. Simple. Okay, so they will form the microspore tetrad, in which the 4 cells will be together there. Okay, again what happens, the cells from which the microspore tetrad is formed, they are known as the microspore mother cell. Okay, microspore mother cell, these are nothing but the single cells of the sporogenous tissue only. They are also known as the pollen mother cell or PMC. Okay, pollen mother cell or PMC, from which the microspore tetrad is formed by meiotic divisions. Okay, again after the formation of the microspore tetrad, again as the anther will mature and it will dehydrate. During maturation the water will be lost from the anther and it will dehydrate. So dehydrate होने के समय पे क्या होगा, all these 4 cells from the microspore tetrad, they will segregate from each other and they will become 4 different cells. Okay, each microspore from the microspore tetrad will develop into a pollen grain. Okay, this is a very simple process in microsporogenesis, though in the female reproductive part it is a very complex process, and the structure formed is also a very complex one, which we will learn in later parts. So here the microsporogenesis is very simple process. सिंपल 1 से 4 सेल होंगे, माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड बनेगा. जैसे ही एंथर डिहाइड्रेट करेगा मैचुरेशन के समय पे, सो व्हाट विल हैपन, ऑल द सेल्स विल सेग्रीगेट फ्रॉम ईच अदर टू बिकम one single microspore which will develop into the pollen grains. And after the maturation, complete maturation of anther, as I said, the process of dehiscence will be occurring, जिसमें क्या होगा, from the groove, from the longitudinal groove of the anther, the cells will be coming out, the pollen grains will be coming out after the breaking of the layers of the anther or breaking of the layer of the microsporangia. Okay. So जैसे ही वो ब्रेक डाउन होगा तो pollen grains उसमें से रिलीज हो जाएंगे, and that process is known as the dehiscence of anther. Okay, so microsporogenesis is comparatively simple. Now let's move to the structure of a pollen grain. Pollen grains will represent the male gametophyte because they are carrying the male gametes within it. Okay. Since meiosis is completed, तो इसके बाद जितने भी divisions हो गए यहाँ पे mitotic divisions होंगे. Okay. A single pollen grain could be of various many different sizes and various many different shapes also. अलग अलग स्पेसीज के पोलन ग्रेन्स, अलग अलग फ्लावर्स के पोलन ग्रेन्स अलग अलग टाइप के हो सकते हैं. आपने कभी हिबिस्कस के फ्लावर को पकड़ा होगा तो आपके हाथों में कुछ येलो स्टिकी सब्सटेंस चिपक जाता है, राइट? दैट इज नथिंग बट द पोलन ग्रेन्स. ओके, दे आर वेरी माइक्रोस्कोपिक इन नेचर. ओके, दे कुड बी ऑफ डिफरेंट डायमीटर्स, यूजुअली रेंजिंग फ्रॉम 25 to 50 micrometer. Okay, 25 to 50 micrometer in diameter, and they have a prominent two-layered wall. Okay, the two-layered wall, the outer wall is known as the exine and the inner wall is known as the intine. Okay, both the layers of the pollen grains are named as intine and exine. The inner wall, intine, exine, outer one. Okay, here the exine is a very special layer because what happens usually when the pollen grains are formed, जब pollen grains बन जाते हैं तो उसके बाद वो जरूरी नहीं है कि तुरंत जाके पॉलिनेट हो जाएंगे या फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट्स तक पहुंच जाएंगे. इन मैक्सिमम ऑफ द फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स द पोलन ग्रेन्स ऐसे ही घूमते रहते हैं. ओके, लाइक दे आर इन द डॉर्मेंसी पीरियड. व्हेन द सीड्स आर इन द डॉर्मेंसी पीरियड दे डू नॉट जर्मिनेट. ओके, सिमिलरली द पोलन ग्रेन्स आल्सो दे मूव फ्रीली इन द एटमॉस्फेयर बिफोर गेटिंग pollinated or before reaching the stigma. So at that period of time they need to be protected from the outer environment. And here the exine helps in it because it is having an organic substance named as sporopollenin. Okay, sporopollenin is the organic substance which is making the exine layer or the outer layer much more harder. Okay, it is known to be the most resistant organic material till now. Okay, the most resistant organic material in biological world. Okay, so the sporopollenin helps in the protection of the pollen grains from the outer world. Okay, it can withstand high temperatures, it can withstand strong acids, strong alkalis, everything it can be withstanding. Okay, another important thing here, suppose these are the two layers. The exine layer कुछ जगह पे क्या होता है, उसमें sporopollenin is absent at some points. Okay, so at that point what will happen, the layer will be really very thinner as compared to the other parts. Okay, let me make it with other color ताकि आप लोग easily समझ पाए. Suppose this portion is that region जहाँ पे sporopollenin absent है. The layer is completing itself but the layer is very thinner at that point where the sporopollenin is absent. Why this is important? And what is this called? This layers जहाँ पे वो sporopollenin absent है. Okay, that part is known as the germ pore, and that is important for the formation of a pollen tube. Okay, this is important for the formation of a pollen tube during pollination, after pollination. Okay, pollination होने के बाद जब pollen tube formation होता है, it will carry the male gametes up to the female reproductive part. So that is why it is important, because sporopollenin अगर वहाँ पे भी होगा तो पूरा का पूरा लेयर हार्ड हो जाएगा, जिसकी वजह से pollen tube का ग्रोथ नहीं हो पाएगा. Okay, hard substances will not easily grow. That's why sporopollenin is absent at some points. Okay, that point is known as the germ pore. Okay, and next move to the intine layer. The intine layer is generally made up of cellulose and pectin, as like our general cell wall or cell membrane. Okay, it surrounds the plasma membrane like that. Okay, and within which the cytoplasmic mass will be there and the nucleus also will be there. Okay, so these are the two different layers of pollen grains. Outer layer is called as the exine. It is made up of sporopollenin, which is the most resistant organic material. At some points in the outer layer, the sporopollenin remains absent, which makes the possibility of formation of pollen tube. Okay, and the inner layer, the intine, it is a general plasma membrane like layer, and it is formed up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, now the cytoplasm of the pollen grain, it is surrounded by the plasma membrane, as I said, and within the cytoplasm, before the release of the pollen grains up to the stigma, what happens? The cell, the pollen grain inside cell or the intine, जो surrounding किया हुआ intine जिस चीज को, that part will again divide mitotically. Okay, that part will divide mitotically to give two kinds of cell within itself. Okay, उसी के अंदर में वो division होके दो cells बनाएगा. One will be called as the vegetative cell and the other will be known as the generative cell. Okay, usually what happens, the main nucleus, it moves up to the periphery, वो intine layer तक आ जाता है, periphery तक आ जाता है. Certainly उसमें asymmetrical spindles बनते हैं, spindles बनते ही वो divide हो जाता है. Divide होने के बाद एक माइटोटिक डिवीजन होता है, जिसकी वजह से क्या होता है, एक बड़ा सेल बनता है और एक छोटा सेल बनता है. दैट इज द अनइक्वल डिवीजन व्हिच लीड्स टू द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ अ बिगर सेल एंड अ स्मॉलर सेल. द बिगर सेल इज नोन एज द वेजिटेटिव सेल and the smaller one is known as the generative cell. It is just like a cell within a cell. Okay, the generative cell, it is just floating within the vegetative cell. Okay, the cell within the cell. So after the formation of these two cells, usually in 60% of the angiosperms, this pollen grain is released from the anther at this state. Okay, pollen grain जब mature हो रहा होता है anther के अंदर में, तो usually ये इसी स्टेट में, वेजिटेटिव सेल और जनरेटिव सेल स्टेट में, जिसको बोलते हैं टू सेल स्टेट, within the two cell state it is released out of the anther. Okay, but in the rest of the angiosperms, what happens, the generative cell also divides again. Okay, the generative cell also divides again mitotically, because meiosis is already occurred, so both these cells are also haploid. Okay, meiosis has occurred, the pollen grain is haploid, the vegetative and the generative cells are also haploid, and now again the generative cell will divide into two parts. Okay, to give rise to the two male nuclei. Okay, or the two sperm cells, like that. Okay, so the generative cell will divide into two further cells, and at that point the pollen grains is released in other 40% of the angiosperms, and that is known as a 3-cell stage. Okay, the 3-cell stage. जिस angiosperms में, जिस flowering plants में 2-cell state में pollen grain release हो गया, वो क्या करेगा, जब वो pollination करके germinate करेगा, जब pollen tube germinate करेगा, at that point of time the generative cell will move only through the pollen tube, and जिस में 3-cell stage में release हो रहा है, उसमें और further division की जरूरत नहीं है, वो pollination हो जाएगा और उसके बाद ऐसे ही डायरेक्टली मेल न्यूक्लियस को pollen tube के थ्रू पास ऑन करेगा. Okay, so this was all about the structure of the pollen grains. By far we have known the structure of the stamens, filament and anther, the structure of the anther, which consists of the microsporangium within which the pollen grains are formed, and now we are knowing the structure of the pollen grains. Okay, it is interesting to know that the pollen grains of many species can cause different kinds of allergies in human beings also. Okay, they can create different kinds of diseases also, as because वो लोग इतने microscopic है, their size is very very small, so if they enter the respiratory system of human beings, then they can use the space. जो हमारा अस्थमा वगैरह, जो ब्रोंकाइटिस वगैरह जो डिजीजेस हो सकते हैं, ये क्यों होता है? बिकॉज द रिड्यूसिंग ऑफ द सरफेस एरिया of the alveoli. Okay, तो pollen grains अगर entry कर लेंगे, so they will block the surface area and that will lead to different kinds of diseases and allergies in human beings. Okay, like the asthma and bronchitis. Another thing to be mentioned importantly here is about the Parthenium. Parthenium is also known as the carrot grass. Actually it was invaded into India. Imported wheat, जब wheats import किए जा रहे थे, तो उसके साथ ये कैरोट ग्रास भी इंपोर्ट होके आ गया, एंड नाउ इट इज यूबिक्विटसली स्प्रेडिंग इन इंडिया एंड इट इज कॉजिंग सिवियर pollen allergies. Okay, another important thing, there are actually 2 more things to tell, so let me note it down. Okay, first thing is they can cause allergy. Second thing, they can provide nutrients and hence they can be used as food supplements. Okay, जैसे हमने जाना स्ट्रक्चर में that the vegetative cell and the generative cell they are unequally divided. तो vegetative cell जो है उसका साइज बड़ा रहता है, so it has a large amount of cytoplasm within it, so it can provide nutrients. Okay, in western countries it has become a fashion. pollen grains को फूड सप्लीमेंट्स के हिसाब से यूज किया जाता है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ टैबलेट्स और सिरप्स. ओके, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो सीन दैट इट इज एनहांसिंग द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ द एथलीट्स. जो रेसिंग में घोड़ों को दौड़ाया जाता है, तो उसमें भी अगर वो फूड सप्लीमेंट खाते हैं, पोलन सप्लीमेंट्स खाते हैं, तो उनका परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा देखा जाता है, माना जाता है. एंड द थर्ड थिंग एंड द लास्ट वन इज दैट दे कैन बी स्टोर्ड. ओके, दे कैन बी स्टोर्ड एज pollen banks. Students, the viability of different species of pollen grains is of different time. Okay, कोई species होते हैं जैसे कि कुछ cereals हो गए, राइस हो गए, wheat हो गए, इनके pollen grains मैक्स टू मैक्स 30 मिनट्स तक वायबल रहते हैं. उसके बाद उनका फंक्शनिंग डैमेज हो जाता है, लॉस हो जाता है. लेकिन दूसरे स्पेसीज जैसे लेग्यूमिनोसी हो गए, रोजासीसी हो गए, इन फैमिलीज के स्पेसीज के जो पोलन ग्रेन्स होते हैं दे कैन बी वायबल अप टू सम मंथ्स. ओके, और बाकी के जो पोलन ग्रेन्स होते हैं उन्हें हम लोग स्टोर करके भी रख सकते हैं एज पोलन बैंक्स. दे कुड बी स्टोर्ड इन लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन. ओके, लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन का टेम्परेचर रहता है -196 degree centigrade. So within them we can store the pollen grains. As you might have heard about the process of artificial insemination, जिसमें क्या होता है, सेमेन या स्पर्म्स एनिमल्स के या ह्यूमन बींग्स के कलेक्ट करके उसे स्टोर करके रखा जाता है फॉर डूइंग हाइब्रिडाइजेशन. ओके, सो सिमिलरली वी कैन ऑल्सो स्टोर द pollen grains as pollen banks. So this much in this class, and in the next class we will be learning about the female reproductive part and about the female gametophyte, that's the pistil. Thank you.